Insecurity is like an invisible chain that holds you back from living the life you truly deserve. It whispers in your ear that you're not good enough, that you'll fail, that you're unworthy of love or success. And the most dangerous thing about insecurity is that it doesn't just stay in your head. It seeps into your actions, your relationships, your decisions, and ultimately, your future. You might think it's just self-doubt or being cautious, but in reality, it can quietly destroy your happiness without you even noticing. It shapes the way you talk to people, how you chase your goals, and even how you see yourself when you look in the mirror. The truth is, insecurity can ruin your life if you don't face it head on. Let's talk about 11 signs that your insecurities might be holding the steering wheel of your life, leading you somewhere you never wanted to go. As you listen, be honest with yourself. If you recognize these signs, it's time to take your power back before insecurity takes away more than it already has. Sign 1. You constantly seek validation. When you rely on other people's approval to feel good about yourself, you've handed them the keys to your self-worth. Every compliment feels like a breath of air, but every criticism feels like a punch to the gut. You check how many likes your post got. You replay conversations in your head, wondering if people liked what you said. And you measure your value by how others react to you. This constant search for validation drains your energy and makes you vulnerable to manipulation. The more you depend on others to tell you that you're enough, the less you believe it yourself. People who are deeply insecure often don't trust their own judgment, so they look outward instead of inward for reassurance. But the harsh truth is, if you can only feel confident when others approve, you'll never feel confident at all, because people's opinions are fickle. And living for the approval of others is like trying to drink from a cup with a hole in it. You'll never be full. Sign 2. You compare yourself to everyone around you. Comparison is one of insecurity's favorite weapons. You scroll through social media and feel like everyone's life is more exciting, more beautiful, more successful than yours. You meet someone talented and immediately think about how you're falling behind. You see someone else's relationship and start wondering why yours isn't as perfect. This habit makes you blind to your own strengths because you're too busy measuring them against someone else's highlights. What you forget is that comparison is never fair. You're comparing your behind the scenes with someone else's best moments. But insecurity convinces you that you're losing a race you didn't even need to run. And over time, that constant comparison eats away at your confidence until you feel like you're always coming up short, no matter how much you achieve. Sign 3. You struggle to accept compliments. When someone says something nice about you, do you brush it off, downplay it, or try to change the subject? That's insecurity at work. People who are insecure often have a hard time believing they deserve praise. Compliments feel uncomfortable, almost like the other person is lying or mistaken. You might even think, if they really knew me, they wouldn't say that. This mindset stops you from embracing your strengths because you've trained yourself to reject anything that challenges your negative self-image. By dismissing compliments, you also rob yourself of the chance to build confidence naturally through positive feedback. Over time, this habit makes it even harder to believe in yourself because you're constantly rejecting evidence that you're doing something right. Sign 4. You overthink every little thing. Insecurity turns your mind into a battlefield. You replay conversations over and over, wondering if you said the wrong thing. You overanalyze text messages, emails, and facial expressions, trying to figure out if someone is upset with you. You think about worst-case scenarios before they even happen, and you second-guess every decision you make. This level of overthinking keeps you stuck in a cycle of fear and hesitation, making it hard to take risks or trust your instincts. Instead of living in the moment, you're living in your head, trapped by what-ifs and maybes. And the cruel irony is that overthinking often creates the very problems you're trying to avoid. It pushes people away, slows your progress, and leaves you feeling mentally exhausted. Sign 5. You avoid opportunities because you're afraid to fail. Opportunities knock, but insecurity makes you pretend you're not home. You tell yourself you're not ready, not good enough, or that someone else would do it better. Maybe you get an invitation to speak up in a meeting, but you stay silent. Maybe you dream of starting something new, but you never take the first step. You convince yourself you're playing it safe, but in reality, you're letting fear steal your future. Insecurity makes failure look like the end of the world, when in truth, failure is just a stepping stone to success. But when you're insecure, the fear of being judged, rejected, or embarrassed feels unbearable, so you don't even try. And with every opportunity you turn down, you reinforce the belief that you're not capable, trapping yourself in a smaller and smaller life. Sign 6. You struggle with setting boundaries. If you say yes when you want to say no, or you tolerate disrespect just to keep the peace, your insecurities are calling the shots. Many insecure people fear that setting boundaries will make others dislike them or abandon them. So they stretch themselves thin, agreeing to things they don't want to do, or staying silent when someone crosses the line. The problem is, when you don't protect your boundaries, you teach others that it's okay to take advantage of you. And deep down, each time you allow it, you lose a little more self-respect. Boundaries are not walls. They're lines that protect your well-being. Without them, you give away your time, energy, and dignity in exchange for temporary approval. And that's a trade you'll always regret. Sign 7. You read too much into other people's opinions. Insecurity makes you hypersensitive to criticism and rejection. A single negative comment can ruin your whole day. You might twist neutral feedback into a personal attack, or feel crushed when someone disagrees with you. Even harmless jokes can feel like insults, because insecurity makes you hear them through a filter of self-doubt. Instead of seeing other people's opinions as just opinions, you treat them as facts about your worth. This puts you in a constant state of emotional vulnerability, where your happiness rises and falls based on what other people say or think. And while it's natural to care about how others see you, insecurity turns it into an obsession, making you feel like you're always under a microscope. Sign 8. You sabotage your own relationships. When insecurity is in control, love feels dangerous. You might push people away before they can leave you, or cling to them so tightly that they feel suffocated. You may constantly question whether your partner really loves you, or test them to see if they'll stay. Insecurity makes you suspicious, jealous, or overly needy, turning healthy relationships into exhausting emotional roller coasters. Sometimes you even choose the wrong partners, people who confirm your negative beliefs about yourself, because deep down you don't believe you deserve better. Over time, these patterns create a cycle of failed connections, reinforcing the idea that you're unlovable, when in reality, it's the insecurity, not you, that's sabotaging the relationship. Sign 9. You hide the real you. Insecurity convinces you that the real you isn't enough, so you put on a mask. You act differently depending on who you're with. You hide your opinions if you think they'll be unpopular. You change your style, your interests, or even your voice to fit in. While this might protect you from judgment in the short term, it also prevents you from forming real, authentic connections. People can't love the real you if you never show it to them. And the longer you pretend, the more disconnected you feel from yourself. Living behind a mask might keep you safe from criticism, but it also keeps you safe from love, respect, and belonging. The very things you crave. Sign 10. You struggle to make decisions. Insecurity makes decision-making feel like walking through a minefield. You worry about making the wrong choice, disappointing others, or looking foolish. So you ask for endless opinions, delay taking action, or let someone else decide for you. This constant hesitation doesn't just waste time, it chips away at your confidence. The more you doubt yourself, the less you trust your own judgment, and the more dependent you become on others to guide your life. In the end, you're not really living your life. You're living the version that other people choose for you. And that's one of the fastest ways to feel trapped and powerless. Sign 11. You can't celebrate your achievements. Even when you accomplish something great, insecurity finds a way to downplay it. You tell yourself it wasn't that big of a deal, or that anyone could have done it. You focus on what you didn't do perfectly instead of what you achieved. This robs you of the joy and pride you deserve to feel, and it keeps you stuck in a constant cycle of striving without satisfaction. No matter how far you climb, insecurity convinces you that you're still at the bottom. Over time, this mindset leaves you feeling unfulfilled, even if you've achieved more than most people ever will. The thing about insecurity is that it doesn't just live in your mind. It shapes your actions, your choices, and your reality. If you recognize yourself in these signs, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means you've been carrying beliefs about yourself that aren't true. Beliefs that were likely planted by past experiences, criticism, or rejection. The good news is that insecurity can be unlearned. You can build self-confidence the same way you build muscle, through consistent practice, patience, and self-compassion. Start small. Accept a compliment without deflecting. Take a risk even if you're scared. Set a boundary and stand by it. Little by little, you'll start to realize that you are more capable, more valuable, and more deserving than your insecurities ever let you believe. Because at the end of the day, insecurity only has as much power as you give it. The moment you decide to stop letting fear dictate your life, you take back control. And when that happens, you don't just survive, you thrive.